Hi, I'm Tim Justice with Polymark Manufacturing. We manufacture cast polyurethane and rubber rollers. This video is going to give you some information on polyurethane and hopefully answer some of the frequently asked questions that are posed to us by our customers. Polyurethane is a chemical product that is used and is very similar to rubber. What I want to explain to you is some of the basic components that are used in making polyurethane and some of the things that you should be aware of. The first thing to be aware of is that polyurethane can come from something that is really very, very soft, and this is about a 30A, and that's on the A scale, which is the scale that is used to measure rubber, right through to something that is really hard, and this is about 60, 70D. Polyurethane straddles the two scales, the A scale for rubber and the D scale, which is used to measure plastics. It's very important that you understand that. People do get confused about the term durometer, which is it's a very fancy word for hardness, but because durometer starts with D, people get confused about is it A or D because they believe durometer involves it. A is rubber and tends to be floppy, although at the high end it gets pretty stiff, and then D is plastics and is hard. So you can have a 60A or you can have a 60D. But the question to ask you, should it be rubbery or should it be hard? So we have a very large range. Let me show you some of the products that we use to make polyurethane. When you ask for a given product, we will then go to a specific drum. This here is a drum of polyurethane. It's a 45-gallon drum. And if you ask for the particular hardness, in this case we'll say 90A, I will go to the 90A drum and I will use the material that comes out of that drum. The material right now inside of there is like a very thick corn syrup, and we have to actually put it in the oven and we end up tapping it out through the bung once it heats up. We need to get it to a consistency that's very similar to maple syrup before we can actually then make polyurethane with it. We mix it with color, and the colors, I should mention, are not always the same. So just because you have a piece of urethane that is red does not tell me what the hardness is. We always need to know the hardness. We can make it any color that you want. We then mix the urethane resin with some curative, and this is called, the street name is called mocha because it looks a little bit like coffee. It's done on a very fixed formula, and I often describe this as being very similar to a cake mix, where all the chemistry has been done by the manufacturer. What we are now doing is mixing it. So I will take a certain number of parts of this and I have to mix them with an exact number of parts of curative in order to get it to formulate properly. One thing too is that if we add the wrong percentage, the part will not be any good, and we'll know it before it even ships. We have people sometimes question us on that. We then take that, we mix it in buckets, and we mix it in large containers, very similar to the yellow container there, and we put it into this machine here, which is a mixing machine. The mixing machine is very similar to what you've seen at a paint store for mixing up paint. Now, one further thing that I would like to speak to, because people very often come to us and say, can I get this part for tomorrow? And I'd like to speak to you about cure time. Polyurethane, and there are two major families, and most people are familiar with these words, ethers and esters. The differences I'm not going to get into within this video, but they need up to about 12 hours of curing before we can actually ship them to you. Polyurethane, though, itself takes 10 days before it is fully cured. And there's nothing that anybody can do. It is a chemical reaction that comes right out of the original chemistry of the product. We will achieve about 95% of the properties of that polyurethane after the 12 hours of curing in an oven. But then it takes another 9 days approximately before urethane is ready to go. So it's never a great idea to use urethane right when it arrives if you were to purchase it. It is best to put it on the shelf for a week or two. If you have any further questions, and we'll be producing other videos to explain some of the aspects that people are curious about, please do give us a call. Polymark Manufacturing. Anything to do with the urethane, casting urethane, or covering rollers and rubbers, we'd be more than happy to discuss and meet your needs. Thank you.